Travis Wayne Goodsell. So, the last day at the shelter, they shut down my access to the internet. Not other homeless person's access. Mine. They just shut me down so that I could not access the internet. And so, yeah, it was a miracle that I was allowed to move in on that Tuesday. And let alone get it all paid for by the liaison. And I'm worried she got fired, like the case manager who was supposed to string me along, making me feel like I'm looking for a place to live, but never actually getting one. Yeah, she got fired when I got this place. And I replied to an email that the liaison had sent me regarding what housing essentials I needed, like cleaning supplies, stuff like that, furnishings. She never replied. And so I'm concerned that it's because she too got fired. Because she always responded to my emails. But, it was a rough transition. It was not a smooth transition. And if you are unfamiliar with my history with the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, they've always been attacking me. They will not leave me alone to live my life according to my agency. They have to be in control of my life because I know things that they don't want you to know. And so every year, I always get attacked. Not just by YouTube, the Mormon YouTube employee, but also where I live. The church has worldwide reach, so there's nowhere on earth I could move to where I'd be safe from the church. Because they'll always find me and abuse me. And it's because of the knowledge I have that this church is not true. Just to summarize for you, to make it simple, the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints claims to be Christian. 1 Nephi chapter 1 verse 2. Book of Mormon is written in the learning of the Jews. That's not Christian. That's not Jesus. So, yes, Brigham Young's church is pulling the big old con. And my other videos explain all that for you. And so, after the failure of the 2 employees at the shelter, the church then threatened my brother to come after me. And with the email that I replied to his lawyer, I hope they're going to be backing off now. We'll see. The church is desperate. They are threatening to fire my brother if he does not do what they ask him to do. That's what I told the lawyer. As Todd misinformed her about his intentions and what was going on here in the bigger picture. Because my brother waited years. The videos I did about him years ago. He waited until now, right before conference, right around the time of my birthday. Bastard. He knows my birthday, just as I know his. And he goes to YouTube. Doesn't come to me. Doesn't talk to me at all. Goes to YouTube and files a complaint. I'm violating his privacy. I'm lying about him. So YouTube sends me a message. Hey, we've received this complaint about these 2 videos. We are asking you to modify the videos or take them down altogether. And so I replied with the law regarding privacy and showed that, and linked them also to my brother's social media LinkedIn account, where he's designated as a public figure, not a private figure. And they then replied, "You're good. We'll leave you alone." And so they would have notified Todd as well that there was nothing wrong with what I was doing. And despite this, I still came out with a couple of videos where I corrected myself, because I went to Todd's social media LinkedIn account, as it's been several years, and sure enough, my brother was correct. I was incorrect. He calls it lying. I was misinformed. I got it wrong. So I made the correction. Didn't have to. YouTube vindicated me. But I wanted to be honest with you and about the information I present you. And in the course of giving you the correct information, it then occurred to me, it means something far worse. That's how it always is. Mormons come, attack me, saying that this is the particular situation instead, and I research it, and sure enough, they're right, and it's worse for the church if they had just kept quiet and let the misinformation go through. So please, Mormons, correct me. I dare you. And so I thought the situation was resolved. YouTube had informed my brother he has no privacy claim. I, on my own volition, made the changes in the public video, making sure that everybody knew I had made a mistake and I was making a correction. And so I thought it was resolved. I told the lawyer this too. And so Todd didn't tell the lawyer that I had done this and that he did not respond to me, as he sent his email after YouTube had sent him the rejection, demanding that I take him down or change him. He wasn't satisfied with YouTube's answer. And so he went to me directly. And, I made the video corrections. And then Todd, instead of emailing me again saying, "I saw your video corrections, you're still mistaken. You're still violating my privacy," because he seems to be in denial of what privacy means. He's in the public domain, and so am I. But there's a difference between lying about somebody in the public domain and reporting on somebody in the public domain, being critical. And that's what Todd can't understand. That's what the church can't understand. And so I'm almost a week goes by, I think, wasn't it? And then nothing. Thought the matter was resolved. So the night before my birthday, on the 16th in the evening, I get an email from his lawyer, newly hired. And she's going over the same complaints that my brother emailed me about and that YouTube, likewise, said there was a complaint about. He won't let it go. He keeps pushing what he doesn't understand legally. So thus I informed the lawyer that she was under the impression that he again emailed me after I had done the correction videos, before he complained to YouTube. Didn't even bring up YouTube. And so, yeah, I informed her of Todd's dishonesty, because he's claiming that I am defaming him and his honest reputation. And yet he's lying about it? Dumb, dumb, dumb. And so, yeah, I spent a good long letter. And if Todd demands that the lawyers still proceed, and the lawyers tell him not to go to hell, that they won't do this because he's got no case, then yes, I will read that email to their lawyer for you, as I will then reveal their legal firm that my brother hired, and reveal his lawyer, because apparently they don't want to follow the law either. And so it's clear that my brother is scared, because he waited all this time to finally do something about it, and it's clear that the church were the ones who threatened him. So this is why he's pushing it, ignoring all of the denials and rejections that he's getting from people. He just refuses to listen because he's scared. And the church has threatened him. He's risking getting fired. That's what he's saying, is that he is at risk for financial loss and his employment, which means the church threatened to fire him if he didn't get me to take down those videos. And those videos are very damning to the church. It wasn't about Todd. It's about the church. And so, yes, the church and I go way back, if you're not familiar with that, and I won't go into that. But there are some things to expect for conference. As you'll notice, I've figured out how to sneak past the algorithms of YouTube to get popular conference videos. And you'll notice more as we get closer to conference, because people will be typing April 2023 LDS General Conference, and my videos will pop up. And so, yeah, YouTube, I think, has been forced to back off to some extent, which is why the church went to the shelter to attack me, and then went to my brother. The YouTube employee likewise was pulling some stunts that I had recognized as similar to previous conference times when they were coming. But last year, having checked my analytics, YouTube shut down this channel. They lied to shut me down so that I couldn't do videos on this channel. And so I missed out on reaching people to warn about the anti-Semitic church, who dismiss and disregard and spit on the grave of our founder, as they claim he is. Joseph Smith was Jewish. Do you think it's just the Book of Mormon? No, if the Book of Mormon is Jewish, it's the keystone of our religion. Therefore, all of Joseph Smith's scriptures are likewise the learning of the Jews. It is not Christian. It is not Jesus. But you'll notice for their conference announcement, let's find it. And so, yes, the videos that really upset the church are when I involve sex trafficking. They really don't like me exposing that they're sex traffickers. Yeah, because Oaks has been going around saying that the United States took away their religious freedom to practice sex trafficking. So yeah, the General Conference, join us Palm Sunday weekend for Messages of Christ. And it's obviously Jesus. They're showing Jesus on there from their new Jesus character that they're using for all their videos. And then, of course, if you're still confused, they've got the inspiring or preparing for Easter. Find peace and hope through Jesus Christ. So, why they didn't put Jesus Christ for conference, they already have it there for Jesus Christ, which replaced the conference message from the previous conference that, again, emphasized Jesus. You catching on? If it's anti-Semitism to replace the Jews with Christianity, what do you think the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints is? It's a no-brainer. They are the great and abominable church. Joseph Smith tells us that Jesus and Christianity are abominable. And so the Book of Mormon, when it talks about the great and abominable church, what church do you think that is? Christianity with Jesus Christ. And so what did Brigham Young change the name to? The Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. This is not complicated to figure out. Unless you're purposely evil. Knowingly evil. Are you knowingly evil, Mormons? Do you want to be anti-Semites? Do you hate the Jews? Do you hate Joseph Smith and the Book of Mormon that you have to replace them with Christianity and Jesus? But this is what we are to expect for conference. Anti-Semitism, spoken publicly over the pulpit of conference by the leaders of this church, this anti-Semitic church that has a history of racism, sexism, bigotry, neglect of the poor, and all forms of hatred. This is who they are. They're a white Christian nationalist church. White supremacist. They supported Hitler in World War II. Moroni and the swastika. If you need something to confirm that. Because if you didn't notice, I've also done thumbnails where Oaks and Stevenson this year have given the Heil Hitler. And so yes, my knowledge of the church, because I use science in my research, not authors, has made some major bombshell discoveries. Not just that we're not Christian with Jesus. So, for example, the reason why the Book of Mormon and this church got started in the first place was because of an incident in Canandaigua, New York on 9/11. Yeah, 9/11. 1826. Joseph Smith Sr. is the master mason at that York Rite Lodge. York Rites has the Knights Templar with the Holy Grail, Egyptian gold plates, bloodline, Yeah, that's why you see Knights Templar influencing in the Book of Mormon. Temple of Solomon, New Jerusalem. Yeah, that's Knights Templar. It's not just Jewish Kabbalah with the Tree of Life, which Joseph Smith, Sr., had to rewrite the 116 pages. Sidney Rigdon's the major author of the Book of Mormon, because that's the pattern of the Danites. They lock people up to try to silence them, and then if they can't do that, if they keep getting out of jail like Joseph did too, they murder them. So I keep getting out of the church's incarceration of me. Multiple times the church has held me in bondage, held me in captivity, using the government, using the shelter to do their dirty work. They give the orders, people obey. They threaten my brother is in fear for his life, is obeying. And so if you have noticed, as I intended to get to more clips from past videos of Nelson, I still could do that. I've got time. But he's coming out with translations that are not just wrong, they're white supremacist. Let God prevail, for example. He's purposely botching scripture interpretation, and it's showing up in the manuals, his incorrect interpretation and translations. But notice when you raise your sustaining vote hand, we do not hear translator. It's missing. That's on purpose. They want nothing to do with Joseph Smith. They took all of the authority that tricks Mormons into believing they're the one true church of anti-Semitism, denouncing the founder. And so Nelson is purposely pushing the limits to purge the membership. This is why he's escalated things. This is why they keep, being racist, sexist, bigoted, neglectful of the poor, by trafficking them and profiting off of that. Yeah, they were not happy. Gail Miller was taken down from the shelter's website, even though she's still involved, because of the videos I was doing. Really need a haircut. But, it was bad. And so for the church to still keep pushing means they've got something big planned. This is the last year of the latter days, as I've been going over with you since the beginning in 2017. And as such, this is the bicentennial year of Joseph Smith's second vision. Do you remember the 21st night, September? It's the 22nd, according to the Jews. At 6 p.m., it becomes the next day. So all four of them were actually in the 22nd. And so you've got two sets, 4 times, 22nd of September. And technically, because, I guess technically the 4 times were the 23rd of September, being in the evening of the 22nd. So that's interesting, because the 23rd of September 2017 was the star date given by John in Revelation chapter 12, 1, 2, and 5. And the Book of Mormon and the Joseph Smith translation confirm that 5 is part of the sign in the heavens. They knew about the date. So, need to take a bathroom break. So this is going to be a 2-parter. We'll put it as one. But I have noticed the YouTube employee still tries the same tricks when I upload a video. But I've got faster speed internet that's counteracting it. So, yeah, the YouTube employee is having trouble figuring out how to silence me and shut me down this time. Hopefully it's because of the complaints I've filed about him, which he then got caught. So, I'll be back. Okay, so last April, as I was shut down on this channel, I had to switch over to TWG to get the high number of views for the conference videos. They did the 666 anniversary of the Relief Society. That was the whole special for that year. And that year, actually, I was grooming the children of the church for polygamy. Trust in the Lord, which the year that they changed the temple text to change the law of chastity to polygamy again, as Oaks is going around declaring religious freedom, he gave a talk in October conference of 2019 in which he talked about a letter he had received by a woman who's going to be in a polygamous relationship because the first wife had died. And so Oaks responds to her, trust in the Lord. That is now code for polygamy. Trust in the Lord. So the theme for last year for the primary, trust in the Lord. This is how you recognize what they're up to, is identifying their secret words. Because Mormons who've read, pondered, prayed about the church, got the feeling that it's true, miss this. They don't see evil. They only see faith promoting. So everything gets changed and altered according to their spiritual witness. Thus, Mormons can't recognize that they're anti-Semitic and that they're rejecting Joseph Smith and the Book of Mormon by being Christian with Jesus. This is what's called brainwashing or indoctrination, which is very common in cult groups. This is why ex-Mormons or non-Mormons call Mormons cult followers and the church a cult, even though it's a cult because Joseph Smith, taken as literal history with Christian Jesus, is practicing all sorts of magic and witchcraft, talking with the dead, using a rock and a hat. Yeah, that's witchcraft stuff. And so if you're going to take that literally, you're saying Joseph is a witch. So why isn't Brigham Young to Nelson doing what Brigham Young did, or Joseph Smith did? It's because they don't have his gifts. Because they're not witchcraft. Learning of the Jews. Because yes, Christians as anti-Semites have falsely accused over the 1700 years the Jews for being witches. Because they're not Christian with Jesus. Tends to be the case with religious organizations that if you don't believe as they do, you're evil and of the devil. They refuse to understand other religious belief systems because they're the one true church. It's no different with this church. And so, knowing in advance that I'm going to be under attack, I made sure to put out videos that would get attention, so that I can reach as many of you as I can to warn you of the danger. Because the last video I did was how the church is going to get their kingdom restored with Jesus as the leader of governments. So is the United States just gonna give the government over to the church? Are the rest of the world governments gonna do the same? Oh, you're the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints? Here's the government. Turn it into a kingdom. You remember in the Book of Mormon how Captain Moroni went back to Zarahemla during the war with the Lamanites because there was a group called the King Men who wanted to overthrow the constitutional republic of Mosiah, who gave up the kingdom, the king throne, for a constitutional republic. Anybody familiar with the Revolutionary War in America? Why did we declare independence? We had a king. Why go back? Yeah, that's the whole point. Kingmen want to restore a kingdom over America. And in order to do that, they've got to divide and conquer, the art of war. We are already divided, and we are at the brink of collapse as banks are failing again. Isn't that interesting? And this is the last year of the latter days, if I didn't mention that in this video so far, which means everything will escalate. The church has been orchestrating all of this. They've been doing multiple ways to accomplish their goals. And so for having their kingdom, they not only, you've seen with the election, an attempt to try to divide this nation into red states and blue states, seceding from the nation, or divorcing from the nation. You've seen the church get the Respect for Marriage Act passed. So everybody thinks, oh, the church is pro-gay now. Wow, what a surprise. I thought they were anti-gay. They still are, because they put in their exemption clause. Why can't the news figure this out? And so, yes, with the exemption clause for religions, you were able to get those GOP senators to say, oh, okay, my religion can say, screw you, and still go on as normal. Great. I'll approve. Because that's what it is. It's not a Respect for Marriage Act. That exemption clause is a disrespect for marriage. That's what it was all about. And so they're hoping to go for more, so that they don't have to follow any laws of the United States as a religion. Religious freedom. That's what that whole movement is about. They need their kingdom back. They're setting it up. They're setting it up for polygamy. They're setting it up for child brides. They're setting it up for the death penalty. They're rounding up the homeless at the shelters and exterminating them with the drug poisoning residue. You know, I got out. Dear God. It's like every day I was sick. And when I'd come home or come back to that place, I could tell in the air. Sickness was in the air. And I saw a guy die. And I almost saw another guy die from an overdose. And I did those videos for you. They're setting it up. The economy here in Utah, purposely done. The housing crisis, purposely done. They're building all these new apartments in the final year, which is going to be the day that shall burn as an oven. climate change disasters from 3 Nephi chapter 7. The last year to destroy America, so that they can have their kingdom for the weekend conference next year in April. Because on Monday is 8 April 2024. And if you don't know what's going to happen on that day, I'm going to make you look it up. Google search 8 April 2024. And you'll notice there's something called a total solar eclipse that crosses over America. The cross of Christ. The sun god Emmanuel. After the learning of the Jews. Not literal history Christian Jesus. That's only going to confuse you. And so, that's their goal. The Salt Lake Temple was originally planned to be rededicated that conference weekend. For that Saturday. They announced it. That's when they were expecting it. And then I covered it in videos. And then they came out and said, oh, looks like it's taking longer than we thought. Maybe it won't get done by then. Sure. But yeah, during a certain creeping death, the church sent you right back out on your missions. Sent you right back to seminary, right back to church, putting your lives in danger. We lost lots of Mormons, let alone American citizens, let alone human beings across the world. And so, you really do need to pay attention to my videos as much as they seem like they're only out for attention. I only do that because of the manner in which YouTube designs their algorithm. People only watch if it's an exaggerated video, which is sad. It's apparent from what I've learned that there's a lawsuit in this. Has it reached the Supreme Court? Or is it just in one of the states? It's against the social media companies, YouTube, I think, in which YouTube is profiting. Yeah, because YouTube has now allowed Trump back on YouTube. Big mistake. Nonetheless, YouTube is profiting by those who are white supremacist, who promote hate and violence. They're profiting off of these people who are doing those kinds of videos. And as such, the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, anti-Semitic, it's a hate group, are getting YouTube paid because they're promoting the church. And so YouTube mutually financially benefits. And so they're getting sued for doing this because the algorithms are set up that way. That's why I typically don't get views, because they need to keep me silenced, because normally I'd get a lot of views. But they got to allow for the church to get a lot of views. And so that's why conference time's a tricky time for them with the algorithms, and why I get a lot of views. So, but like I've been telling you, this is the last year of the latter days. If the day that shall burn as an oven is actually on the 22nd or 23rd, or yeah, I won't have another conference to do videos for. You understand this? September 22nd, 23rd, 21st is before the October conference. And this is what they're planning, to destroy Christianity, so that Christians have no guide in their life. Jesus is now shown to be gone. He doesn't exist. Mormons, likewise, claiming to be Christian. And so, as they've said, the pure doctrine of Lucifer will be manifest to give them a guide. And I keep hearing this in the news, that because Democrats keep failing the American people then go to the other extreme of the GOP. This is what they're hoping with the destruction of Christianity, is that people will then cling to the fascist evil of Lucifer. That is the plot. So that the church can now finally talk about the inverted pentagram on the keystone of the doors of the Salt Lake Temple that is rededicated. And so it is likely that we will not have October conference, as the world will be in chaos, war, destruction, collapse. And thus, in April, the church rises from the ashes. Here we are. Lucifer. What do you mean, Joseph? Who? What? Book of Mormon. What? No, we're the Church of Lucifer. Always been the Church of Lucifer. What are you talking about? We don't know Joseph Smith. We take pictures with lots of people. I used to do political commentary too. Criticism. But YouTube got very upset with me doing those. They wanted me to stick to criticizing the church. Got to take them both at the same time, guys. They're on the same team. So, yeah, this is what I'm foreseeing, but we'll see what happens. And so this is my last conference then. I have to plan as if it might be. This is why I'm trying to get as many viewers before conference as possible. Because you need to be saved. As much as you think I'm your enemy because of your Christian Jesus paradigm, I'm trying to save your life. And so if there are Mormons out there who are not Danites, knowingly being evil, I hope you will change your mind. The correct translation of the incorrect Greek word translated as repent. Change from Christian interpretation with Jesus to Jewish interpretation with the Jewish Christ, whom Joseph Smith says is a Mormon. Completely different, huh? So, yeah. So I'm trying to save your lives while at the same time trying to make sure that the church doesn't destroy me. To shut me up and have me murdered once and for all. They literally are trying to erase me from history. Because the learning of the Jews would help you understand why. Because if you just have the Christian Jesus paradigm in your thinking, you don't understand why. Why would the church bother you, Travis? Why should they care? Exactly. Why should they? Unless you know the learning of the Jews. And so, yeah, it's all about getting their kingdom back. And we have seen it. The donating of water, that was an oopsie. That was supposed to be to purge Utah of as many people as possible, so that they can have it all set up. All these apartments, brand new built, but emptied, because they're so expensive, nobody can afford them. And then, boom, Armageddon happens. Chaos ensues. Destruction, death, chaos, dogs and cats living together, mass hysteria. And then they rise from the ashes. Oh, look at this, brand new apartments for the Russians to move into. The lost tribes of Israel, found. And in Zion, just as prophecy. But then he'd have to accept Joseph Smith in the Book of Mormon. Because that's in the selections from the Book of Moses. I think is it chapter 7 or is that 8? That is. And so that's going to be kind of a conundrum for them. Do they keep Joseph and just turn him into a Satan worshiper? It was Lucifer the whole time. The Book of Mormon, it's not the learning of the Christians with Jesus. It's actually Lucifer. Satanism. Oh my God, talk about an abomination. Bad enough that they've turned Joseph Smith into a Christian worshiping Jesus. But then for the millennium, to turn him into a Satan worshiper with Lucifer? Oh my God. Dear God. But yeah, Uchtdorf did give that talk to the priesthood about being light bearers. Oh my God. So yeah, you guys don't see it. Nelson's declared himself as the Antichrist, according to the learning of the Jews. That's why he keeps pushing the full name, the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. Because he's the Antichrist. The prophesied learning of the Jews, manner of prophecy, book of Revelation for the latter days, Antichrist. So, yeah, I worry about you guys. Because this Jesus wall is really hard to break. Fighting this whole time with you as you just keep attacking me. You do not want to give up Jesus when he doesn't even exist. He was created by Constantine, but the church says, oh, no. Constantine is not our Jesus. Our Jesus is the one we created during the Roman period of time. That's what Constantine did. They're saying they're not Constantine's Jesus, but then they're saying they're the same Jesus created like Constantine created Jesus. Oh, but our Jesus has a body of flesh and bones, separate and distinct, as tangible as man's. Dear God. So, yeah, it looks like this is going to be my last video of the night, unless the church, well, no, it's Saturday, so we're good. This will be my last video of the night then. But, yeah, people rose up when the church refused medical marijuana for those who are sick here in Utah. And when we, the people, voted for it overwhelmingly, the church stepped in and forced the legislature to hold off on it and modify it. You know, when the church got caught by the bishop who asked the church leaders to have a set list of questions for youth so that bishops don't get sexually explicit with children, they excommunicated him. But he was at least able to drum up enough support from Mormons and ex-Mormons to have the church make the changes anyway. But again, they still excommunicated him. And Kate Kelly for ordained women. They excommunicated her. And then they claimed that they were giving freedoms to women. Oh, yeah, you can wear slacks now. It's okay. Wear slacks. We fired Kate Kelly, the troublemaker. See, the thing is, I'm not popular like they are. All of these ex-Mormons, because they got excommunicated, they got popular. The church won't do that to me. They want me dead. That's the difference. And that should be the signal to all of you ex-Mormons. Why isn't Travis popular? He's contributed. He's exposing the church. Yeah, well, it's because you too are stuck on Jesus. Just with a different paradigm than the Mormon Jesus. And so your Jesus sees Joseph as a witch. American Witch. That's the theme song in the title below. You're going to have to be approving of the video, though. American Witch. I have to write it down because otherwise, like the previous video I did, I think today, I said I was going to put the song in the description below, and I ended up putting a different song altogether. So sorry about that. I know you had your heart set on listening to that video. Right? But yeah, YouTube now allows you to see the title of the song or the link that I put in there. So that's a good thing they've done, despite all the bad things they've done. Trying to conform to TikTok and now audio podcasts. But, yeah, where were you years ago when I was doing these long videos where people were requesting, hey, can you make a podcast so that I can listen to you while I drive to work? Or listen at work? I had people doing that. So, but yeah, it's all about science. Use science. The church embraces pseudoscience, anti-science, psychology. That's why they made a big stink about firing and excommunicating the psychologist who became popular after getting excommunicated. Because it lets everybody know what they're planning on doing in their kingdom. No pornography. Because they think women are triggers, which means they're going to cover you up, women. Why do you think they've been buddying with Muslim countries? They're gonna cover you up, just like Brigham Young did. Just probably a little more than what Brigham Young did. And more than what the Handmaid's Tale did. And then, of course, the polygamy and the child brides. But, it's going to get ugly, guys. I hope you can survive. And so, if there are any of you listening, Missouri is not the location for the real Zion. And maybe that's what's going to happen. That during the chaos, destruction, violence, I'll somehow be able to travel to the real Zion, as the church will remain here or fly back here. There's a parable in section 101, starting in verse 43, I think. Yeah, the servants are the prophets, not you. As the manual told you were. And so, yes, the prophets are intending on fleeing when the enemy comes. And it could be that the church gets in trouble for further violations like the IRS or maybe the Congress or maybe a lawsuit by my brother who realizes he can't go after me. But I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. I know the prophecies, but the Book of Mormon has multiple variations of scenarios that could happen. As I did on, I think it was TWG, it could have been this one, Exodus patterns in the Book of Mormon. Those Exodus patterns are all different. They're similar because they're Exodus patterns, but there's at least a dozen, and they're all different. So, you missed the Exoduses, by the way. So now this is going to be the forced Exodus, if we can survive. The survivors. It's in southern Illinois, where the crossroads are. It's been blatantly obvious the whole time for all of us who can have eyes to see in the learning of the Jews, in the language of the Egyptians. And it helps to have a learning of the York Rites Freemasonry with the Knights Templar and the Holy Grail and Egyptian gold plates. So, yeah, that's what I would expect for conference. Further pushing Jesus. Just ignoring me about learning of the Jews, ignoring you talking about it. They don't need us for money. They make more in interest, but you notice they still keep pushing to get as much money as they can. It's all criminal operation. The SEC exposed that along with the whistleblower. These guys are criminal. They're making their money illegally, and they are filthy rich and have got a lot of power because of that. And so expect them to be a part of the economic collapse, pulling their stocks out of the stock market to purposely tank the stock market. As we're still yet to realize what it's like not to have the debt ceiling extended, because we were told around June, maybe. And we're at the end of March, middle end of March. So we have April, May. So 2.5 months. But that's the max. It still could happen anytime. And we've seen bank foreclosures or failures lately. And so then the war in Ukraine, which is supposed to bring Jesus. We're still waiting for Putin to escalate. North Korea keeps threatening. Still waiting for him to drop the nuke. The news keeps threatening us that something's going to happen. They're wanting to get the news out before it actually becomes news. Waiting for the news to happen, then cover it. Be factual about it, not ask for people's emotional responses. Emotional responses are not news, but that's how they divide and conquer us. They play and manipulate our emotions rather than presenting us with truth, facts from reality. So, alrighty. Trying to think of what else needs to be covered. I'm still waiting for New Name Noah to come out with the latest revision of the temple text. It was earlier this year. People were talking about it. Where is it? You did the one for 2019. Thank you. That's how I found out about the law of chastity change to polygamy, which my second ex brought to my attention. She caught it, and she's a full-on Jesus believer. Yeah, she didn't like what I was doing, and that was in the beginning stages. She didn't believe that Joseph Smith is Jewish, learning of the Jews with the signs in the heavens for the latter days. That was too much for her to handle. So I hope she's going to be okay. Hopefully her family will be there to rescue her. Hope you guys have somebody to rescue you if you can't get out on your own. I don't know if cars will be disabled. They're talking about an economic collapse similar to the 70s. I remember that. Getting in long lines for gasoline. I remember that. I was just a kid. Born March 17th, 1970. So, Southern Illinois, guys. Go down to the Green River, where I parted the river for you, so that we could pass through on dry land to go to Zion. You missed it. But it's still an option. So hopefully, those of you who are still listening can be aware of this. Except I think those who listen aren't even in Utah. You're in other states. And so, yes, in other countries and other states, if you're listening, you will know when to go to Zion. It will be blatantly obvious, as your life will most likely be in danger. Because when America falls, so too will the rest of the world delve into chaos. That's what Putin is waiting for. He knows, take out America, he then can go unimpeded. And he's just pretending to be weak. He's pulling my war tactic, that bastard. Because as kids, we'd have this game called Mercy, where you lock hands, enter fingers, and then you try to squeeze back the other person's hands until they say mercy. Or you say mercy. And I had developed the pattern to let my left hand, because that was with their right hand, be sacrificed, letting them think they're about to win, so that they ignore their left hand, and then boom, I crush them. And as they are right-handed, that works best with right-handed persons. But I built up my strength in my left arm, and my left wrist, to handle the extra pressure. So that when they let their guard down, boom, crush them, game over. That's what Putin is doing right now. He's looking like a loser. He's looking like he's going to say mercy. They even have an arrest warrant out for him by the International Cricket Committee. There's multiple acronyms for ICC. And the International Cricket Committee was the first one that popped up. Hilarious. But, yeah. And so, expect the day that shall burn as an oven. If it's Utah, that's going to suck for the church. I don't know where they'll rebuild from the ashes. They'll have to wait a millennium before they can use the land again. But, yeah, the prophets used to joke about it. About nukes and having their little ranch paradise to be free from the fallout. And Bruce R. McConkie was a big man talking about the the nuclear fallout that would occur. So, I wish you well. But now I hope you understand why I do my videos. I am not anti-Mormon. The church is anti-me. So, I'm just trying to save your lives while trying to preserve my life so I can save your lives. Alrighty. So yes, I'm trying to get as much projects done as I can before I can't. Because then in Zion, I'm hoping we'll have Zion rather than me stuck in a cave if I survive. Because there's a whole bunch of stuff that needs to be done once I get there. And the Book of Mormon also indicates this. Nephi gets to the promised land, in the land that's now the alternate site from the original, where they build the Temple of Solomon, having escaped from his brothers, and then begins to work on the two plates, the large plates of Nephi and the small plates of Nephi, doing the abridgment. So that's what I have realized that my work that I've been doing all this time is for. That once we get to Zion, those who make it to Southern Illinois, build the temple, and then I can work on the abridgment of the history of the latter days and Mormons and the fall of the Great and Abominable Church and the history of America and the history of the world and all of that for the large plates and an abridgment for the small. So, the sealed portion. You thought it was Christopher, didn't you? It's me. I've got the brass plates, the sealed plates, the gold plates. Got them all. And that's what the church has been trying to do, is separate me from them. And that shocked them. Because when I was kicked to the curb in the other apartment, that's what I preserved. The 200-pound Egyptian gold plates. And I literally blistered and bruised on my hands and feet when I stepped onto the Mount Olympus. Section 45. Learning of the Jews. Alrighty. I'll end this one now.